Well, hello, howdy, and welcome back to Twangmeister Studios. I'm Dan Wesley, and this is part 5 in our series, Mixing a Country Song, and brought to you, of course, by Mixed by the Twangmeister. If you would like to have your stuff mixed by the Twangmeister, all the details are below, even if you would like to come and have your stuff recorded here at Twangmeister Studios. You know where to come. Now then, up to this point, we have done guitars, bass, and some acoustic instruments. And we have 3 more instruments to deal with before we get onto the vocals, which is the next video. We have an electric guitar, piano, and fiddle, and that is what we shall be mixing in today's episode. So let's get on with it, shall we? Okay, so as you can see, we have here these purple tracks. This is the electric guitar recorded with 2 microphones in stereo, and the same can be said also for the piano, and 1 track there for the fiddle. So let's bring our electric guitar in and see what it sounds like. Here we go. A 1, 2, 3. Okay, so as you can hear, a really nice sounding guitar, recorded very well. And so what do we want to do? Well, it's really my job not to go and spoil it really, but just to bring it out and enhance it so that it really takes up a nice space in the mix. So let's have a look and see what we are going to do with this. Now, first of all, what I want to do is talk about the panning of this guitar. So as you can see, we have the 2 microphones on the guitar cabinet panned left and right. So at the moment we are listening to a stereo guitar. Let's have a listen to it on its own and see what that sounds like. So basically what you can hear there is an electric guitar that sounds like it's down the centre, but you can hear the 2 delays distinctly on the left and right. Now then, do I want my electric guitar to appear down the centre in my mix? And I'm going to say no, and what I'm going to do, as you can hear at this point in the song, basically for the majority of the song, this electric guitar is providing the rhythm, along with, of course, the strumming acoustic guitar. So what I want to do is I want to pan them kind of opposite each other, one over to the left, one over to the right, probably not all the way left and right. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, I could decide that let's just use one of these tracks, these guitar tracks, mute the other one, and do what we want with that. And we could do that, but I'm not going to do that, because in effect what will happen is the electric guitar will sound a lot smaller. So I'll show you what I'm going to do. First of all, I'm going to pan my acoustic guitar over to the right. You'll hear that at the end of the last video, I panned it over to the left just so that it was the opposite side to the dobro for us to hear a decent mix at the time. But what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to pan that acoustic guitar over to the right. Okay. Okay, I've not gone all the way, I've gone about 80% more or less, give or take. Now you might think, hang on a minute, you've panned your acoustic guitar over to the same side as the acoustic dobro. Do you really want to do that? Well, at the moment, I'm going to say yes. Let me show you what I'm going to do with the electric guitar. Okay, so if we look here, we'll see that at the moment, as you can see, they are panned left and right. Let's listen to them again. So in effect, having them panned left and right makes the guitar sound like it's in the middle. So what I'm going to do is the left guitar I'm going to leave all the way to the left, but the right guitar I'm going to put it in the middle. What that will do is it will shift the guitar over to the left, not all the way left. Let's have a listen now. So it's shifted it to the left, but it's kept it big in the sense that there's still a bit of spread in its panning, in where it's positioning itself. So it's not a tiny little thing over to the left, it's actually quite a wide thing, but over to the left. Now then, listen. It's maybe not quite as far left as I would like, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this fader on my electric guitar right, which is I suppose a misnomer now because it's actually electric guitar center, isn't it? And I'm going to drag it down. Now you notice if I just grab it and drag it, they both come together because I've grouped them. This is what these little purplish squares represent, the fact that I've grouped these faders together. So I need to just hold down my control key and then I can grab one and move it. That will enable me not to move that one from the center, but to turn it down a bit, allowing the far left one to be louder, therefore it appear a little bit more over to the left. Let me show you first of all what would happen if I put them both over to the left. You hear how the electric guitar got really small? That's not what we want, so I'm going to bring this down and just to get the position where we want it. So now it sounds kind of the opposite side to the acoustic guitar, but neither of them are all the way. Okay, now then, let's have a listen again on their own to the delay that was recorded as part of the tracking process. There was delay recorded in this guitar. We heard them earlier, two separate ones. You could hear them left and right. Let's listen for them. So you can hear a nice little bit of slap delay, but it's really subtle. When we bring it into the mix, it's really difficult to tell that it's there. So I am actually going to add some delay to this, and what I'm going to do is, sometimes what I do with a stereo guitar that's mic'd twice is I might put a different delay on one side to what I put on the other side. But in this case, I'm not going to do that. First of all, what I'm going to do is create a send. So let's make our sends visible once again. And for these two tracks, we are going to send to a new aux track, which is down here. And there it is. Oh, I only added it to that side. Okay. So they're both going to this send. Now this is going to be an electric guitar effect, so let's make it purplish so that we can see that it belongs to the electric guitars. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring a delay in here. Now like I say, sometimes I do separate delays, but in this instance I'm going to go for I like this one. This is the BlueTubes tempo delay. Stick it on here. Okay, now the reason I want this one is because I can create a kind of a ping pong effect. This delay, it has actually 3 delays in it. They're named up here 1, 2 and 3, but basically you can look at them as left, center and right. I want to turn the center on off. We don't want that. So what I do want is different delays either side. Now what this will enable us to do is to make the guitar even bigger without moving it back to the center. So we need to turn on our sync so that it's synced to the tempo of our project, and I'm going to go for the fastest delays on each side. So you can see what we have here is like a whole bar, half a bar, quarter note, eighth note, 16th note. So I'm going to go 16th notes either side, but you'll notice that we are 16th note here and 16th note dotted here, which will allow them to be different. If they were both the same, it would basically push the whole thing into the center. So let's have a listen and see what that will add, and then we can tweak some more of the settings. Now what I've done is I've soloed, as you can see here, I've soloed the electric guitar bus. We're not hearing the delay because I haven't yet sent it to the right place. So let's bring our in and out routing in down here. So on our delay track, which I'm going to rename actually, electric guitar delay, we're going to send it to the electric guitars bus, which is here. Okay, so we should now hear this. So as you can hear, we've got some nice big stereo delay effect there. Obviously the level of it at the moment is a little bit more than we want it to be, so let's just play with the levels and get them to the right appropriate balance. Now obviously I'm going to do that in the context of the whole mix. So let's bring everything back in that we have mixed so far and just balance these electric guitars with the delay. Okay, happy with that. Now then, we want this guitar just to shine a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is, we are going to do a little bit of EQ. So let's hide our sends again just for the moment. And what I'm going to go for is the API 550, which is a nice sounding EQ, I think, on electric guitars. We're going to go for the stereo version here of the 550A and put it on our electric guitar bus. Okay, and then what we shall do is have a little tweak and get this to sounding even better. So let's go back and listen to it in context. Okay, that's what that does, is it allows us to get a little bit more bite out of the guitar without, you can tell that it's nice and subtle. It's a great EQ for that particular purpose. So back from the intro, we sound now like this. Now then, as before with our other instruments, we have the option to add a bit of the iVerb, our instrument reverb. So I'm going to turn it on for the electric guitar and just have a listen to whether that adds something nice or it doesn't. Just give it a little bit overall, a little bit more space in the mix. I want it to be subtle because the delay is creating really almost as much effect as we need. That's no reverb. Okay, and I'm going to say for now, we're happy with that. Let's move on to the piano. Now then, once again, piano is recorded with two microphones, left and right, so I'm going to leave the actual tracks alone and work on the piano bus. There might not be very much that we need to do. Let's have a listen to the piano now on its own, which sounds like this. 1, 2, 3. Now the great thing about having it on two tracks, left and right, is that if we don't want it to be fully spread out, we can bring them in a little bit. And I think I'm going to do that. So with our pans on our two, let's just make it not quite as wide. If this was a sparse track with just like a piano and a bass, then we would probably leave it full wide, but we're getting our width from other areas. So listen. Okay, I'm going to say that I'm happy with what we have there. Okay. Now then, all I'm going to do EQ wise is there's a little I'd like to bring out a little bit more of the sparkle of this piano. Listen to it in the track. In fact, I tell you what, let's go to the second verse, which is where the piano really shines. Piano into view. Okay, I'm going to bring in, let's try our Pultec first of all, and we're putting it on the stereo bus, so we'll have the stereo version. And all I'm going to do really on this is we're probably going to take out some of the low end because there's a little bit of rumble down there that we don't want, and just add a little bit of the presence that we're after. So here on our piano track, we've inserted the Pultec, so let's just give it a little So I've added a little bit of the presence, which is a nice part of the piano sound there. But what I'm thinking instead, and this is something that I do sometimes, the vocal is obviously going to be down the centre, and the frequencies that I'm boosting here on the piano is actually quite a large area where the vocal sits. So instead of boosting that frequency all over the piano, is what I want to do is probably boost it at the sides but not in the centre, so that it doesn't climb all over the vocal. Now, of course, for that we will need an EQ that does mid-side processing. So let's grab one and start off by switching off our Pultec. So what we have here is the F6, the Waves F6, and what I'm going to do is, in the same areas, we're going to turn on our low pass. Let's have a listen on its own again. I did, of course, mean high pass. You knew that. And we're going to enhance the same frequency area around sort of 3K that we had before with our number 5 band here, but we're going to change it to sides. So what happens here is this EQ boost will happen on the sides, left and right, and not in the middle, thereby not stepping it over the vocal. Let's have a listen. Now then, we want to control this a little bit with some compression, so let's bring in our LA2A on here and play around. Okay, and we're going to add a little bit of the I verb to this. Now, in this particular style of music, and particularly when you're playing in these up-tempo tracks, you really don't want to be overdoing it with reverb. Sometimes I might even leave reverb off entirely on the piano, but we're going to add a little touch, and let's see how much we want. Let's go back to the same area. Okay, and there is our piano motoring along. Next up is our fiddle. First of all, I'm going to create a loop around this area where it's playing. And let's have a listen. Let's bring the fiddle in. Okay, once again, nice sounding fiddle, but it's going to need a bit of help. As you can hear there, there's low end spill from other instruments. So we're going to start off with a bit of EQ, and we're going to use the channel EQ for this particular purpose. So let's open up the Pro Channel and the EQ here. Okay. Shall turn the Pro Channel on and have a look. What we're going to see is we're going to actually get a visual representation of the spectrum here, and you can see all that unnecessary low end information down there. So our first job is to turn on our high pass, get rid of that. Okay, let's got rid of that. I'm just going to create a little shelf, a bit of high end. Just a little subtle without the EQ. With just allowing it to poke out a little more in the right areas, but these are kind of broad strokes that I've done there with the high pass and a shelf up at the top, but we have some problem frequencies which jump out every now and again. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this section. This is the turnaround where the fiddle plays its little bit here, and let's have a little listen for just a couple of problem frequencies that I've noticed. Little squeakiness here and there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach for our trusty F6 again, but this time for a different reason, not because I want to use mid-side processing, but because, as well as being mid-side capable, it is also a dynamic EQ. Now, what does that mean? A dynamic EQ means that you can have it cutting or boosting certain frequencies only as and when they become a problem. So if I did a cut, if I found a problem frequency and I cut it out on a standard EQ, that frequency would be cut out for the whole duration of the song. Whereas I might only want that to be dealt with at the times when it's a problem, and that's where we use something like this. So I'm going to come and find the problem frequencies and then show you what we're going to do. So here we have Let's get our thing playing and have a listen, and we're going to play around. So if I was to cut it out, that'd basically be what I would normally do on a standard EQ. However, in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the gain back up to 0. And instead, what we're going to do is we're going to use the threshold. If you watch this while it's playing, you will see. Bring down the threshold, kind of like a compressor. When it goes over, you can see I want to tackle another area if we can find it. Okay, and now this is an instrument which we definitely will be wanting some of our iverb. So let's grab ourselves a piece of the action on the old iverb front. And kind of like the dobro, we want a little bit more reverb on the fiddle than we would do on certain other instruments. So the piano, the electric guitar, the acoustic guitar are going to get subtle amounts of the iverb, but we're going to give more to the dobro and the fiddle for them to stand out in a slightly different way. Let me turn that off and let's have a listen to how we're sounding. You can see I've already panned it over to the left, the other side to the dobro and the acoustic guitar, and I think that's where I want it. So for now, I think this is all of our instruments done. Okay, so join me in the next part, part 6, when we shall be getting on to the vocals. I know, we're getting on to the exciting stuff. See you again then.